And we don't say nothing because guess why? I don't want to say nothing and make her angry. Then I might not get nothing.
They feel like, oh, I went to work, I brought the bread home, I'm done.
Yeah.
That's half the job.
Your body's not your own. If that man is saying, I want to utilize that body for my benefit, no matter how romanticless he is, no matter how he has not given any foreplay or even hasn't even cut the grass or washed your car, it still belongs to him.
What the church won't say.
Welcome to What the Church Won't Say,
where we have difficult conversations at the foot of the cross.
And today is going to be an especially difficult conversation because we want to discuss with you guys, why is there so many sexless Christian marriages? Now, one fact that came to mind, or should I say a stat that came to mind, that there's 15% of marriages are sexless, meaning they haven't had sex in 6 months. Now, with that being said, also be mindful that 74% of marriages end in divorce because of sexless activity, lack of activity in a marriage. Yeah. So, but it seems like when it comes to Christian, we have the most boring, sexless, awkward, inadequate sexual experiences in a bedroom. And I want to kind of explore why that is the case. All right. So One of the things that I want to start this conversation off with is Hebrews 13:4, which says marriage is honorable in all and the bed undefiled. So when I read that verse and we was talking offline, the thing that hit me was this though. So if the marriage bedroom is undefiled, that means that there is no, God kind of puts a parameter where there's no demonic activity in the Christian bedroom. Y'all with me?
Yes.
So with that being said, that means when we are having sex outside of wedlock and we doing all these crazy things, and we got women hanging from the chandeliers and menage a trois and all of this crazy thing that we're doing, we are invoking demonic entities and that they are living vicariously through us. And so there is no parameters or no safeguard from demonic activity outside of covenant, which is marriage.
Right.
So I want to kind of bounce off you guys the possibility that most people, when they get married, even though they're Christians, are not virgins.
That is true.
And so most of them have had sexual experiences or even porn addictions and so forth. So they've already opened themselves up to things. And they've already, I'm going to take it even further, experience things that most people probably should never experience or should have had experience.
Right.
And so they've had these experiences where they may be able to go long periods of time in sex or do weird, awkward sexual things and blow women's mind or men's mind, but it was influenced and pushed and activated by evil spirits.
Yes.
Right?
Right.
Now listen to this. So finally you get married, right? And you get your wife. And you do this out in a covenant, right?
Yeah.
But now those spirits that empowered you, that gave you the freaky ideas, that makes you can go 2 hours straight,
right?
They're not allowed, into this bedroom
because of the covenant.
Because of the covenant, and you're sitting there feeling awkward and weird, and you're like, man, I don't know if I can go another round, and it's just this awkwardness because now you done lost your cape.
Yes. You lost your superpower.
You lost your demonic influence.
Your creative, crazy ideas. Or it don't even feel right in this environment.
Right.
What do y'all think?
Yeah, I mean, you hit it on the nail, as they said.
Okay.
You know, I think that I'm just going to speak from experience. I am recently married, got married September. Very, very happy, honestly.
Talk about.
I made the right decision, the right woman. But before then, I did have a period of time where I lived a promiscuous life. But I was not aware of what you said, that, you know, when you act outside of the legal covenant of God, you're pretty much like a fresh fish for all the demons, you know, to to feed off of you, because that's what essentially they feed off of.
Mhm.
They feed off of your lustful desires, the things that you engage in that are sin,
Mhm.
sexual activity, all that. That's what feeds them.
Mhm.
And so the more that you, but also that, so the more you engage in that, the more you attract,
Yeah.
the more demons
Yes.
that you attract. And now you become somewhat, I'm not going to say somewhat, you become a vessel
Yeah.
for them.
Yeah.
You know?
And they always trying to push the envelope even further.
Yes.
Okay, now let's do it with extra woman. Now let's do a run a train on a woman. Now it's like they always pushing this envelope to draw you deeper
Yeah.
into sin.
Yes. Now, when you enter into a covenant with a woman and God
Mhm.
and say, I'm going to be faithful to this woman
Yeah.
for the rest of my life, you enter into this space of safety where you could say, quote unquote, everything is allowed,
Mm.
as long as there's mutual respect,
Mhm.
there's, that both parties are enjoying themselves. So now you don't have that influence. You don't
Mhm.
have that. And so you can maybe play on this analogy of like a drug addict that was going through the world always high and then now becomes sober.
Yeah.
And so now the sex that you're having with your wife is sober sex. Okay? But this is the thing. When I used to, because I used to smoke a lot of weed, when I was young. And so when I quit smoking weed, I realized how real the world was.
Hmm.
Living a life being sober is so much different than living life drunk or high.
Mhm.
And I think it's the same thing that when you are living life just having sex with whoever, that when you actually enter into that sacred covenant. And so there is a difference because
Boring. It's boring.
Yeah. But
Because
why is it boring?
because we've been so used to that influence, that extra umph, the freedom,
Yeah.
right? To do whatever we want in the bedroom with whomever.
Mhm.
that is true.
Plus, when you're promiscuous, the fact that you're seeing multiple people, that's also exciting.
Mhm.
And
Yes.
so because it's new, you're doing things that I guess you're putting forth the best representative, right? You're
Mm-hmm.
being creative
Mm-hmm.
and you're doing things you normally wouldn't do because you're trying to sway this new person, right?
Yeah.
Back to the bedroom. And so you're doing this with multiple people. So it doesn't get stale. Versus marriage has this, boring idea to it that this is going to be one person for the rest of my life
Yeah.
when you've already exposed yourself to all these people and all these experiences.
Yes.
So there's kind of like when Jesus talks about the broad road leads to destruction. Here, the broad road is because of all the freedom that you have to do whatever you want.
Mhm.
And so marriage has this negative connotation to it
Yeah.
because of the one person for the
Yeah.
rest of your life.
Yeah.
And if I may add, when you are living that way, like you said, the broad way,
Mhm.
right? You're living for yourself because you just want to satisfy your own desires.
Yeah.
But when you enter into that covenant, it says in the word for husbands, love your wife as Christ loved the church.
Right.
So necessarily you're not engaging in sex. Well, this should be the thought.
Mhm.
You're not engaging in sex just so that you can climax, but to actually love your wife, to please her, to help her reach her climax. So
Yeah.
you're coming from a selfless position compared to a selfish, and that's another reason why it might seem boring, because now it's a sacrificial act as
Mhm.
well when you're having sex with your wife,
Yeah.
because you shouldn't be too focused on, oh, I just want to hurry up and get my nut,
Right.
No.
The atmosphere changes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And like, because you're used to these influences kicking in. but because they're not allowed there because of the covenant, which covenant is just another word for contract, they're not allowed in the bedroom.
Yeah.
So you're waiting for this extra, atmosphere to kick in. It's not going to.
Yeah.
So what do we lean on? Because a lot of Christian couples, married couples, are lacking big time in this area. I remember I went to church, and we would have men's Bible study, and a lot of them would agree and talk about how their wife would almost hold sex hostage to them, and it's like something that they had to work for and earn. And I mean, I'm still single. I was single then, and I was just like, I don't ever want to get married. It
Right.
sounds awful,
Right.
And why are you marrying women like this? Were they like that before? Did they turn into this? What happened? And it's not just one man, you know,
Hmm.
it's multiple.
You know what, bro?
Because that can't, even from a woman's perspective, that can't be love for you to
Definitely
hold
not.
that hostage.
Yeah.
And it's like something you get when you're good. It's almost like a kid and a toy.
Right. You've been a good boy. You cleaned your room. I'm gonna give you some. But watch this, bro.
It's emasculating.
But watch this. This is the part that we don't teach. Is that what you just said? Women or wives doing that, it is sin. Let's just kind of just call it what it is. And I'm about to read the scripture that says it. Let the husband render unto the wife due benevolence, and likewise also the wife unto the husband. The wife have no power over her own body, but it's the husband's. And likewise also the husband have no power over his own body,
Right.
but it's the wives. I'm gonna just stop there.
Mm-hmm.
Your body's not your own. If that man is saying, I want to utilize that body for my benefit, no
Right.
matter how romanticless he is, no matter how he has not given any foreplay or even hasn't even cut the grass or washed your car, it still belongs to him. And vice versa. If that guy's didn't work overtime, he say, hey, I need you to put it down, he got to put it down. But if you refuse, or you know the good you ought to do, and you don't do it,
It is sin.
it is sin. Now,
Yes.
this is the part I want to talk about why it ends in divorce, because sin hardens the heart.
Yeah.
So if a person is withholding sex from their mate, what they don't realize is happening is putting a wedge in between them in that relationship, and they may not know why. It's something uncomfortable, a distance that begin to grow.
It's a disconnect.
Yeah, it's a disconnect.
Because sex is ultimately a
Absolutely.
connection.
But sin is hardening your heart that you don't even know what the problem is. And you start blaming that person. You didn't warm me up. You didn't give me a bath. You didn't give me a massage. Or you know what I mean? You didn't put on the lingerie that I wanted. You're finding a reason, but at the end of the day, everybody is not doing their part. And Jesus told us to love our wives like Christ loved the church. That's if that person, the other person, does their part of the covenant or not. Women, you should reverence your husband and submit unto him as if he was the Lord, whether he does his part or not. It is a commandment, not a suggestion.
We have to be at our post.
Absolutely, at all times. And I want to say this last thing. Well, it probably won't be the last thing, but the next thing. It says this: defraud ye not one another,
There it is.
except it be for consent. Meaning, if you're not going to have sex, both parties have to agree.
Yes.
Baby, I'm sick. I don't feel like it tonight. If you got a reasonable husband, you're gonna say, I understand, baby. Get some
Right.
rest. You get what I'm saying? Like both parties have to say it's okay. If your husband is not down to not have sex that day and you say we not having sex, you sin. You are absolutely sinning and you're hardening your heart. And you're gonna what you're gonna end up doing is making that man, even though he still should, it's gonna be something in him not wanting to love you.
And that's what I wanted, because not just that you sin, but the awkwardness, the wedge that you said, the disconnect, or even like the thoughts that you put in that man's head, like he's inadequate in the bedroom.
It's possible.
Why does she never want to have sex with me?
Mm-hmm.
Right? And to some degrees it gets emasculating,
Yeah.
right? And not only that, right? So you're creating this wedge, but the word, if you read on, it says,
When
lest Satan tempt you.
Let me read that for you.
Mm.
That ye may give, you can consent for a time, that ye may give yourself to fasting and prayer and come together again,
Again,
that Satan tempt you not for your incontingencies, which
Yeah.
is the word, your lack of self-control.
Yeah.
which is all these seeds that he
And-
plants in our.
And think about that Satan is always trying to get you outside of that hedge of protection
Yes. So I can get you.
because he cannot enter into that bed. Even as much as he wants to and cries and all that, he cannot enter.
Right.
The I before I engage in a sexual act with my wife, I have prayed. I have invited God, to be with us. And some of you might think like that's kind of weird.
Right.
Mm,
No, but some people might.
yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I think like you ought to include God because think about this. Inadvertently, when you were in the world, you were including all these demons with all these people that you were sleeping with, getting high and you know what I'm saying, like getting influence in weird ways.
hmm
Why not experience the presence of God while you are having
Upholding a covenant.
that holy sex?
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Who knows your wife better than God?
There
Who
you go.
knows her hot spots? Who knows what she loves more than
Yeah,
God?
yeah.
So you're asking him in
Mm-hmm.
to help you hit the
Yeah.
things that she loves.
Yeah, and before I forget, Satan wants to get you outside of that place so that he can have his demons or himself continue to feed on you
Mhm.
Yeah.
and to destroy more families and to get back at God through us.
Now, I want to say something else in this verse that many people skip over. And it says, come together again after you done prayed and fasted, that Satan tempt you not for your incontinencies, meaning your lack of self-control, meaning this. You guys should be having so much sex, married couples, so much sex that when you fast and pray, you're hungry and you're tempted to get back at that person and get it going again. And because he know y'all don't have self-control because y'all ripping each other's clothes off all the time, if that person don't give it to you because you have opened yourself up to such a healthy appetite, you're going to seek it somewhere else. So Christians supposed to be having sex because you're doing it guilt-free. You're doing it legally. You're doing it
Yes.
with the Holy Spirit. And you guys should be having sex more than the world.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You have the creator on you. You should be coming up with creative ways to pleasure one another.
Right.
Yeah.
Mm.
So just wanted to throw that out there. I wanted to kind of hit off some interesting stats I saw as well. Did y'all know that premarital sex is linked to a higher divorce rate?
It goes back to I can see that because it goes back to again the experiences you opened yourself up to and how marriage is not fulfilling that
Mm-hmm.
bottomless appetite
No.
Mhm.
because we've already become so used or so adjusted to that,
Yeah.
and we're not getting this again
Yeah.
because legally those demonic influences when you get thoughts while
Yeah.
you're in the mood,
Mm-hmm.
where do you think those thoughts are coming from?
Correct.
They're not coming from you, they're coming from somewhere,
Yeah.
Yeah.
right? So they don't have rights to us
Yeah.
anymore.
I was just gonna say a quick analogy. It's kind of like you're so used to eating junk food, and then you go to eating healthy,
Yeah.
and it takes a while for those cravings to go away.
Babe.
To change your palate.
Yeah, because like for example, me sometimes I'm relatively healthy, but sometimes I'd be thinking about pizza.
Yeah.
Mhm.
I'm like, oh, I want
Or
to
I just want a Whopper.
yeah,
Or I want White
something
Castle.
disgusting.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Right?
Yeah.
And I think it's the same thing with people who have engaged in premarital sex outside of marriage. Then they get married
Yeah.
and then they, start thinking all these other things. But let me say this, that the grass is never greener on the other side.
No.
Never.
No.
Never.
So is it? So do men have a sexual? Do you guys think men have a higher sex drive or a bigger desire for sex more than women?
I I don't know, and I don't think so because so this is the thing. Men cheat, right?
because he said that we're supposed to be having sex a lot.
Correct. Yeah, but
You know
okay.
what I'm saying? So is that because because of us? They have to do what we want them to do, and they need to just bow out and just do what we want to do?
Mm.
Or do they share that same desire, or is that something we have to awaken?
I think that when you create an atmosphere of safety, of pleasure, of love, it's not difficult, to have your wife saying, yeah, to agreeing, even if they don't feel like it. Or also you can just be um logical about it and practical and say and just plan it out.
Yeah.
Say, hey, look, we're gonna have sex on Tuesdays, Thursdays, and Saturdays.
Okay.
No, but hear me out though.
I'm listening, bro.
I mean, it sounds a little boring already,
But
but
no, okay, why is it boring? You go to the gym, you plan it out. You say, I'm gonna go to the gym Monday, Wednesday, and Friday.
right,
But you know that you need that gym.
right.
And it's the same thing. Like, this is the biggest lie that we have all ingested. What Hollywood sells you, that sex is just gonna happen sporadically and everybody's gonna start ripping, their clothes off and having sex on the table or whatever. It doesn't happen like that.
Wouldn't it be cool if it did though? I mean,
Okay.
even in the
Okay. Yeah, but that's where the creativity comes in. Like, okay, we're gonna have sex on Tuesday under the table. You
Okay.
write it down. You know what I'm saying? You guys this sounds funny, but I'm telling you, it's
Put that on the fridge.
Right.
but that's
Under the table.
but that's the reality of it. You have to be proactive
Okay.
with that. Otherwise, you become passive, or people that have children. I don't have children, within my marriage yet. But I've seen, people that are married, have children, they're exhausted,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah, I don't think so I don't think there's nothing wrong with it in an extreme case like you got a lot of kids of trying to plan intimacy. I'm not gonna even say sex, intimacy.
There you go, yeah.
But what I do think, to answer his question, he asks who has the higher sex drive. I honestly think women do. I really believe women have the higher sex drive. However, God tells us something that gives us a clue of this.
Yeah.
He tells the man to love his wife like Christ loved the church, right? So she has a higher capacity for love, right? So if we're creating an atmosphere where this woman feels loved, and I'm not saying typical stuff like flowers and candy. It can be a poem. It could be running some bath water. It could be whispering in her ear how sexy she is. It's always fanning that
Yeah.
flame, always reaching out to her to let her know how much we love her and appreciate her. I think once you create that atmosphere consistently, it will keep that fire simmering.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I mean? And they would probably, especially if we do it right, because we discussed something before. If you have sex with a woman and after you're done, you use that opportunity to have a conversation with her and feed her heart. Because to me, sex is like turning over the soil.
Yeah.
It's getting that soil broken up and fertile.
Yes.
However, we just go to sleep or go in another room and watch TV or play a game or walk away.
PS5, yeah.
Yeah.
Because they're always a lot more lighthearted, right after.
Palatable,
Yeah.
Right.
palatable,
Yes.
kind. Maybe you want a sandwich.
Right.
You know?
Yes.
They're more open.
Yeah.
So that means the soil is right. But what we do is, man, we miss our opportunity to plant the seeds.
Yeah.
Because he says, well, wives, love your husbands like Christ loved the church.
Mhm.
Our genders are different, and so the ways we want to be loved or need to be loved is different.
Absolutely.
So he tells the wife to do what?
Respect us.
Reverence your
Reverence your
husband
husband.
as if he was God.
So that's the way we receive love.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Absolutely.
So miscommunication already by the way we treat each other is a miscommunication there. We're giving her what we want, and she's giving it's all messed up. It's reversed.
That's the way it's
So when
supposed
we
to be.
love her that way, running
Yeah.
the bath water,
Mm-hmm.
planting seeds after the turning of that soil,
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
you know, and not just leaving the soil turned and just walking away from it,
Yes.
but planting seeds in there so that she can, in turn, look at you in a different light,
Mm-hmm.
reverence you as
Absolutely.
God,
Absolutely.
Yes.
right? Everybody's happy.
Right.
Yeah.
So I want to talk about what planting seeds, because I don't want to leave that open to interpretation. So you had sex for your woman. Hopefully you put in work and you satisfy her.
Word.
But her heart is hungering not for necessarily physical making of love, but now she wants that mental. Y'all laying there, put her head right there on that part of your chest, and you grab her
Mhm,
and you start telling her how beautiful she is.
mhm.
You start telling her what she mean to you. You start reinforcing out all these billion of women in this earth. I chose you.
Word.
And in that, you start feeding the part of her that craves to be loved in a way that your penis can't even touch. And she's going to feel so full
Yeah.
that she was going to be more pliable. And so next time you say, baby, let's have sex, she's not thinking about just the physical. She's thinking about that whole experience that you gave her that's going to make her want you. And if you keep reciprocating creative ways to express love to this woman, bro, she's going to show you exactly how ferocious she can be in the bedroom. And it will
Yeah.
supersede our lust as men.
Yes.
Yeah, she's gonna outdo you. She's
Amen.
gonna outdo you. We're like,
Absolutely.
man, I don't want to, but I guess
Yeah.
I
I
can't
have
miss
to.
out. I don't want to miss that
I guess my
experience.
body don't belong to me.
Guess what? But now sex is an experience. It's not an event.
Right, because you're doing it to her soul,
Yes.
Yeah.
not to her body.
Yeah.
Amen.
Alone. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
And now
Absolutely.
you've got her, gentlemen.
Yes.
And now when you this tour over here,
Because
like Thanos with the rings, now you have her.
You have all the stones.
Right.
because you said something about farming. You know, when we're toiling in the soil, right?
Mm-hmm. Breaking up the fallow.
Breaking it up
Mm-hmm.
because soil in certain seasons gets hard,
Yes.
right? But even in the summer, if you just kind of mix it up, right, it gets soft, right? And you prepare it for planting.
Mm-hmm.
What happens when you mix up the soil,
Mm-hmm.
get it all soft, and then walk away? And you're not watering it, and you're not planting, which is because I've been guilty of just getting up, walking away,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah.
And I don't know if I've always felt like a weird atmosphere when I don't stay,
Mm.
you know,
Yeah.
jump on the PS5, maybe walk around, stretch a little bit,
Go to sleep like
go
most
go
men.
get s-
Like most men.
well, yeah, okay.
Most men
Like
go to sleep.
Yeah. Most men
go
go
get
to sleep. Yeah.
something, maybe go get a little snack or something,
Right.
I think when you said that, it's a crucial part. So like what happens when you walk away and you do the latter?
I'm gonna tell you something, brother. Every soil produces. So if you plant seed, you produce grass or whatever you're sowing.
Mhm.
But if you don't, something's still gonna grow, and typically it's weeds. So when you have sex with a woman,
Weeds?
weeds, yes, weeds like they grow in your grass. That's what's going to grow in her heart. Because if you have sex with a woman and you just walk away, you don't know you're doing this. She don't even know what's going on.
Mhm.
But you can easily start fracturing her self-esteem, making her feel like I'm not as interested.
Mm.
You making her feel like
This makes so much. This makes
yeah.
a lot
And so
of
guess
sense.
what? She starts building this resentment and she don't even know why.
The weeds.
The weeds is growing up.
weeds.
The
Because you
weeds
didn't plant
you didn't plant.
seed.
Yeah.
And that's why men, listen, bro. God made us in his image, and he says the wise or the woman is made in the man's image. That is your opportunity to plant. When I say plant, God say his words is seed in the Bible. And so our words is the thing we're using to plant after sex when the soil is fertile to make her more like us, as long as we're being like Christ. So the areas of her life where she may be lacking, like she don't cook, this is your good opportunity to say, man, baby, we have a beautiful marriage, but you know what would be even better? What would perfect what we got? Is
Reinforce
that
the
you
vision.
if you could just cook a little bit more, that'll make both of us healthier and we can even have better sexual experiences. So you bringing it full circle. You're using the opportunity when the heart is most fertile to make her in your image and to make sure that you guys are on one page.
Yeah.
The two become one.
And you have to do that. You have to make them into your image because that is your job. I heard this pastor. His name is Jerry Flowers.
Oh yeah, heard from Jerry
Yeah,
before.
he was saying that the job of a husband is to heal his wife
Mm,
from whatever trauma, whatever happened to her when she was growing up or whatever.
mm,
Once the wife enters into that covenant, the husband is supposed to be the healer
yes.
because we are the image of Christ to that woman, you know, and the way that Christ heals us as we seek him, as we walk with him, it's the same thing
Yeah.
with the wife.
Yeah. That what you said is I'm kind of divided on that statement because
Okay.
it's kind of prideful for us to think we can heal somebody in a way. But I get the concept
Yeah.
behind that because I do believe married men should always be walking their soil, walking their field, and that's the heart of their
Yeah.
wives. So you should be trying to identify if something is off. You should be trying to
Sure.
identify if they're not living a part of their life that's not scriptural. Are they having anxiety? Are they having issues? And catch those things while they're baby seeds and not letting no baby weeds, and not letting those things grow into a tree. Now
Yeah.
you want to try to address it. So I
Yeah.
do think there is something that we should be mindful of, but I guess when the healing part is taking those things to the Lord and getting wisdom
Yeah,
on how
well,
you should deal with whatever trauma or
Sure.
past issues she have.
Because
Yeah.
we get lazy, and I
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think men drop the ball and that we don't do our part.
Yeah.
You know, you don't do nearly half the things you used to do when
To get her.
to get her when we
Mhm.
first started. See,
Mhm.
and so anything good that you have, whether it's a relationship or the nice things or a new car or a house, it takes maintenance
Yes.
Yeah.
to maintain
Absolutely.
the nice things that you have. Like even relationships, even a business relationship.
Hmm.
We walked away from a mechanic he was great.
Yeah, that was my guy.
He had the magic hand, like and he had a good heart. He didn't want to bend anybody over.
Hmm.
He was a fair guy and he knew what he was doing.
Yeah.
And we walked away from him because what we say, Ray just ain't Raying anymore,
Right,
man. He just,
yeah.
there's something gone. Like he just doesn't care.
He didn't
anymore.
care. Yeah.
He didn't care.
He'd been doing it too long, man. He got comfortable.
That business relationship died because he didn't maintain his part. We're always gonna be customers and pay,
Right.
Yeah.
but he didn't maintain his part. And I think
Yeah.
husbands, we get lazy.
Yeah. And
Then you stop doing
I agree.
your duties.
It's so easy.
Then you wonder why she doesn't want to
Sure.
roll around with you.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's very easy to become passive.
Yeah.
Mm.
And I am experiencing that right now in my marriage
This is too new, brother. What are you're already doing it?
because it's very easy.
What do you mean by passive?
Passive by not leading your wife, by not leading your household the way that you're supposed to.
Yeah.
Because first of all, you ought to seek the Lord, of course, for guidance. But I think that the passivity comes from, men go to work all day, and then when they come home, they feel like they have fulfilled their their purpose.
Right.
Good point.
100%. They feel like, oh, I went to work, I brought the bread home, I'm done.
Yeah.
That's half the job.
Do you feel that way?
Yes.
You do.
Yes.
Because you're tired.
Yes, but that's half the job though.
Right.
Because like you were saying, you gotta plant on your woman, and then you have kids. Now you gotta plant on the kids.
Mhm.
So I think that the reason why this happens is because a lot of men do not count the cost or don't know how much it costs to actually be married.
Mm.
It is a high price
It is.
because you completely have to forget about yourself. And even if you're tired, you have to pour into your wife.
Mhm.
You have to make sure that everything is running smoothly in the house because many men and especially within the red pill community, they are always asking, oh, I want a trad wife, I want a trad woman, and I am a conservative man, and this and that. but they actually don't know what it takes to be able to carry a household, because it's not only financially, it is spiritually, it is physically, emotionally, all those things.
Yeah.
And I'm just going to say it like this, not a lot of men have that fortitude in themselves to be able to do that. And that's why I say that it's very easy to become passive.
Yeah. You made me think about the beginning in the garden
Well said.
where it said Adam was with Eve when she ate from the tree of knowledge and good and evil. He didn't say nothing. He didn't smack the fruit out of her hand. He watched her destroy their lives. And I'm not knocking Adam. I'm saying that we all say, well, why would Adam do that? Look at all the death and destruction and sin he let into this earth.
We do that.
Well, we do the same thing.
Yes.
We see even ourselves or our wives that's developing negative and bad habits, not seeking God, or she has an area in her life where she hasn't repented, or she got unforgiveness, or whatever you may be seeing, and we don't say nothing because guess why? I don't want to say nothing and make her angry, then I might not get none.
Oh,
Yes.
God.
You get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Oh.
And so now,
So you take the easy way.
yeah, brother, but I'm
yeah.
telling you this is listen to me, man. If you ever decide you want to get married, marriage is a series of difficult conversations.
Yes.
If you are not willing to make that woman difficult for the benefit of both of y'all's marriage, then you do not want to get married.
Yes.
Women, I'm talking to y'all too. If you saying I want to get married and you can see yourself and you got the right dress in your mind and where the location gonna be, but at the end of the day, you don't like difficult, uncomfortable conversations, marriage is not the thing for you because that's all it's going to be.
Yeah.
Series of you calling yourself on the carpet, you calling your wife on the carpet, she calling you on the carpet for the benefit of one purpose, which is our marriage.
Amen. Amen. Yeah.
And with that being said, hey, listen, I hope that we said something that bless your socks off. If we have, go ahead, subscribe and like so you can stay connected to the next video. And as always, when you tune in, we're going to be right here to say
What the church wants to say.
till next time. And today is going to be a very difficult conversation because we want to explore why so many Christian marriages have sex. Well, I don't like that. Let's do it.
Have sex.
Yes.
Why are Christian marriages having sex?
Yes.
They shouldn't be having sex.
It should
they?
not be.
No.
What should
They should not be.
Sexing because you're a Christian.
Right.
Yes.
Sex and Christianity, they don't go.
It's sin.
Yes.
It's all sin.
Yes.
Hmm.
Let's do it again. I'm ready.
You get married solely for the company of your wife. That's it.
Yeah. Just a buddy.
Amen.
The buddy system.
Welcome to What the Church Won't Say.
Where we have difficult conversations at the foot of the cross.
And today is going to be a very difficult conversation because we're going to be exploring why there's so many sexless marriages when it comes to in the Christian and people do stuff. They don't do, they be doing.
Yes.
No, no. No, no.
No, 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 no. Let's do it again.
All right.
I don't even know what I'm trying to say, bro.